Hello, everyone. Good evening, wherever you are. It is a pleasure to have you here. I'm Dr. Gregory Horton, three-time Olympic medalist and world champion in track and field. If you have not subscribed to this channel, please go ahead and do so. If you like the content, please be generous and share. Tonight, we're going to talk about some interesting things about Jamaica's issues that we have with the relays. And I'm going to tell you how it started. And I hope you have some questions for me because a lot of people don't understand how this thing came about and what we can do to fix it. Now, some people in the comment section, they were making some statements based on the last video, and they were saying all different type of things. And one thing I can tell you here is that I respect every single opinion and comments because we must have a healthy dialogue. It is necessary. And one of the reasons why I set up this channel here is because I want to educate. Now, my first career is that I am indeed a lecturer. I lecture at several universities, and sometimes my students disagree with some of the ideas. But one of the things I find is that a lot of students see it from a theoretical standpoint. But because of my years of knowledge and experience, I try to show them the application of the knowledge, and it will make a difference. And I say that to say that some fans really don't understand what goes into the relays, and they don't really see the big picture. So my goal tonight is I'm going to break down everything for you so you understand clearly how things emerged and why we are in this situation and how we can fix it. Because at the end of the day, my goal is to make a better Jamaica. I want a better team of people, and I want us to work together. So this channel is not about bashing any athlete, and it is not about bashing any coach. I first want to make that clear, and I want us to have a healthy dialogue. So if you come with the questions, I want you to share them, and I will do my very best to respond. Now, the goal of this channel, again, is to make sure that each and every athlete and fans and coach have the opportunity that they need in order to become the best version of themselves. And I want us to think with an open mind because we want all athletes to be great. And sometimes before the athlete can become great, they must start out as a young athlete. And young athletes need time to grow. And sometimes we are so hard on them that we don't give them enough time to grow. And I'm saying that to say that sometimes these young athletes need the opportunity. And also sometimes the older athletes need the protection. And I'm saying that to say, because when I go into the beginning of things and why some of these things started, then you will understand that sometimes people need protection. And one of the last thing I would want is for any federation to take away the opportunity from an older athlete because they think that the person is done away with, or give a young athlete the opportunity when they're not ready for it. So I'm just here to break down some things for you so you can understand where I am going with this. I can also say this, that when I look at someone like Antonio Watson, that if he did not get the chance to perform because of his lack of knowledge and experience in the field, then there is no way he would have now become a world champion. And I'm saying that to say that we have to encourage the young athletes to be the best version of themselves. And sometimes we need to give them the opportunity. So I'm saying that to say that we all need the young athletes and the older athletes. And we never ever want to discourage the young athletes or the older athletes. And I'm saying that to say that let us work together to help the information to be passed on from the older athlete to the younger athlete because it's something that is needed. The younger athletes cannot be great if someone is not there to help them. So let me go into the story, because a lot of people don't understand why the relay situation is so problematic. You see, back in the days, before we had the trials, Jamaica usually pick the team, individuals to be on the relay team. So you didn't have to finish in the top 4. They would look around and they would try to pick who was the better athlete or who was in form. But one of the things they found is that once the older athletes performed, they did not want to run on the relay. And that started to create a lot of problems, because at one point, Jamaica would take a team to a national champ, a Olympics or a World Championship, but they could not find the best 4 individuals to compete. And it started to create a problem, because a lot of times they had to draw for the younger athletes that did not have the knowledge and the experience. And as a result of that, a lot of the younger athletes got injured, and it started to create a lot of problems. So the IAAF at the time came up with an idea to say that in order to get athletes to run on the relays, we need to give them an incentive. So the IAAF came up with monetary incentives. And as a result of that, everybody wanted the incentive. No, I'm trying to make it clear to you all, So as you listen to what I'm saying, then you can pass on the information. So the incentive worked, because a lot of the athletes now wanted to run. Even when they were injured, they would try, and I'm talking about the older athletes, and I'm talking about the Jamaican team now. I'm not talking about the US team. I'm talking more about the Jamaican team. So what started to happen is they started to push out the younger, inexperienced athletes. And as a result of that, it started to create a problem. Now, we at a crucial point now, because we never ever want the incentives to create a problem where we now start to deny other athletes an opportunity because they are in the best of shape. I want you to follow me now, and I want you to take the note, and I want you to write down any question that you have. So for the past few years, we now have a pool, and Jamaica came up with this pool idea because of what the US did. And the US put a group of athletes, maybe they weren't a part of the national trials for whatever reason, but they started to show that they were in form. So they came up with a system where they call it the relay pool. Jamaica also came up with a system after the fact to put a group of athletes in a pool. Now that was good, because some athletes may have gotten injured before the trial. Some athletes were not able to perform at their best, and they started to come around at a later date. And because of the issues, and Jamaica wanted to win, they felt that they needed to put a group of people together who most likely could help the team to win. Now, I'm saying that to say that Jamaica wants to win. Now, anytime you have a system in place that is kind of vague in terms of the rules, it's going to create a problem. Because what you do now, if the rules are not clear, you now leave it up to someone else's discretion to make a decision. And that can be good and that can be bad, because if you have a group of individuals who genuinely want the athletes to win, right, then they are going to think about the best possible team. Now, the reason why I'm saying all of this, because we had a situation here where some people were adamant that Elaine Thompson-Herah, because her split was one of the fastest, that she should have been on the team. And some people are saying that Briana Williams should be on the team. And they're justifying that argument by saying that the US athletes were on the team even though they weren't in the individual event. And that makes sense to some degree. So I'm going to break it down to you now. That on the US team, all of the athletes who perform well individually, they got the opportunity to be a part of the relay team. So people may say, back in the days when Alex Felix, when she was on the team, they said that she didn't run the 400 meter, yet she was on the 4x4. Why? Because she performed well in the 200 meters, and it showed that she was in good individual shape, right? And some people are saying, well, Benjamin ran well individually in the 400 meter hurdles. And as a result of that, they felt it was okay to put him on the mile relay team. So I'm making the point to say that Jamaica had 4 women. 2 made it to the finals, won medals, and 2 made it to the semifinals. 1 missed the final by 1/100 of a second. That makes sense. Now, for some reason, that athlete did not run the first round because they wanted to give the individuals like Briana Williams and Elaine Thompson-Hera the opportunity to participate. But because of how well the other 2 individual athletes did, it was hard to take them out of that the final, even though 2 athletes may have performed a little better in terms of the time. No, that is what is causing the problem, because a lot of people felt that these 2 athletes should have run. Now, as I said before, at the end of the day, the goal is always to make sure that Jamaica won medals or win medals at championships. So I'm just here to say that it is very difficult. No coach in his right mind would be tempted to make a change under these circumstances, because if it works against him, he is in total problems, he or she. So what should a coach do? The coach shouldn't allow all 4 who proved themselves that they were in shape, that they should run. You know, I remember in 1993, you went to Stuttgart, and it was my first year running as a professional. And also Danny McFarlane, it was his first year. So we were rookies on the team. And we had people like Winthrop Graham and Patrick O'Connor. And they made it to the final in the mile relay. Danny McFarlane had the fastest time on the team at that time. I made it to the final, so they said that I needed some rest and they wanted me to wait a little to run the final. Now I can tell you this, that they took off the fastest person. Danny McFarlane was the fastest. He had the fastest split, and they took him off. And I can tell you that the coach that took him off, we ended up finishing 5th in the finals, and the coach that took him off never made another national team. So what I'm saying here to you, that it's difficult if the athlete prove that they were in shape individually, and then a coach now is going to make that executive decision to pull that athlete from the final. There is no way. Well, I wouldn't say there is no way, but it would be very difficult for that coach to justify his or her action if some mishap took place along the way. I want you to follow me now. And as a result of that, and I was telling the story about what happened with Danny McFarlane, they now felt that it was important to have rules that will protect the older athletes because sometimes when the athlete is in shape individually, on running their individual event, once they are of a certain age, they want to deny the older athlete the opportunity because they want to give the younger athlete the opportunity. That is wrong. If the athlete, no matter what age, prove him or herself in their respective event, then they should run unless they have an injury. Also, we saw where younger athletes who proved themselves, but because they wanted to give the older athlete the opportunity to say they ran well in the past and they're about to retire, then let me give them this last hooray goodbye. And that is also wrong because younger athletes should not be denied the opportunity. So what are the solutions to these situations? Because we lost out on some medals in Budapest recently, especially in the men 4x4. I was so surprised when I saw them all the way at the back on the second leg, and I don't know how they got there. But I'm saying that to say that when I look at the team and I saw where the guys were in terms of the matchup, I said that was a very bad decision because it is extremely difficult to put a rookie on a second leg who had almost 3 PRs in a couple of days. It was too much for them. Now, some people may say, are you a coach? Yes, I coached the national team. I was the head coach in 2006 for Jamaica going to Budapest in the World Indoor Championship. I have won several championships with American Heritage as a high school. When I got them, they were nowhere on the map. After 3 years, we had won 3 national titles. You know, I've mentored so many athletes, I can't even remember some of them names. So I am saying that, and based on my overall accomplishments, I have an insight to look at a mile relay team or a 4x4 relay team, and I can see the issues that presents itself. Now, how can we fix it? First, the federation must do more to build trust between athletes and coach. It should not matter how your age. You should always be given an opportunity if you prove yourself. So let us look at Elaine's situation. What if Elaine did not get the chance to run the 100 because of whatever reason? Should she still run because she ran a good race and the others who proved themselves also ran a good time? However, if there's a trusted relationship between the coach and between the athletes, and the coach is transparent with what he or she is doing, then the issues can be resolved. And one of the big problems we have in Jamaica when it comes to the relay, sometimes it seems like it's a secret. You are on the team and you don't know when you're running, what leg you're running, and that should stop. I think that if you have the pool of athletes, you need to be honest with them. You need to clearly explain what it is, who is going to run where, and why. It is absolutely important that if we are to dominate for the next few years, that we treat all athletes with respect. Now, I'm saying that to say that when I look on the talent, Jamaica has tremendous talent. For the past few years, we have greater talent than the US. But the US seem to be more organized. They seem to be more structured when it comes to the relay. And I'll say that again, the evidence is clear in terms of how many individual events are how many individual titles we won, the times that are run. We seem to demonstrate more talent, but we need to be more organized and we need to be more structured when it comes to our relay selection. Now, I hope that they can be consistent, because consistency is a very important thing. The athletes must know that if they perform their job well, what the outcome is going to be every single time. I am sure that if someone had sat with, let's say, Briana or Elaine, and made it absolutely clear to them what the issues were and how they would fix it, I am positive that Elaine would feel much better, because she would be given the respect. You know what I mean? There is no way you should have a caliber athlete like Elaine Thompson here not knowing if she's going to run in the final based on her performance. And that is what caused the problem. Coaches should not keep these things a secret. And I know they may say they keep it a secret because they don't want the other teams to know what they are doing. But they have to at least trust the athletes, that when they sit with them and when they share the confidential issues in terms of who is going to run and where, that it is kept confidential. No, I am aware that some people may get upset if they find out that they are not on the team. And I think that might be one of the issues that the coaching staff may have, because some people have been on teams before where one person is not on the team and the person would take up their bags and go home because that is their way of rebelling. So you really don't want that. But I am confident that if the trust is there, if the transparency is there, if the consistency is there, and if the honesty is there, that I'm confident that if you sit with the individuals who are on the team and you explain to them what is going on, who is going to run, and why, I'm sure that if the respect is given to them, that they will appreciate it. I hope you're with me on this one. So I've seen a whole lot of comments. I had over 300 comments on the previous video about relays and so on. And I couldn't go through all of them. But I was looking at some of the questions, and I found that some of the questions were disingenuous based on some of the statements. And as I said before, and this is a takeaway that I want you to get. We may love a particular athlete, right? But remember that we are all Jamaicans. And when we go against another athlete that is Jamaican, it is not good for us. So we have to be happy for those who won, even if our fan or our athlete lost the race. That is important, because together, we can make Jamaica a championship country for a very, very long time. So if you have any question, please feel free to share. I wanted this live to be no more than about 25 minutes. I have Ariel says that Dr. Horton, please have your live a bit later in the day, as we are just getting home, making dinner, etc. Necessary information, so had to make time today. Sorry, very sorry for that. You know, the only good thing about the live is that you can always go back and you can replay it. But what you can do, Ariel, that if you have any question, you can shoot it to me in advance, and I will take your question and I will address it. So if you have any questions pertaining to the relay and what went down, please feel free to send me a message now, and I will try to respond as honestly as I can. Because as I said, when I look at some of the comments, a lot of the fans, the upset fans who wanted their athlete to run, and because she wasn't able to run, they started to say that I was biased and all different types of names. But one thing I can tell you, for me, I want the best for every single Jamaican athlete. Believe me, I want all of them to be millionaires if they can, because I too understand that you can't run forever. You have a limited amount of time to get everything together, to get all the cash. And I want them to be the best version of themselves within that early age. I want you with me. So I give you another chance. If you have any question at this time, I will take them. If not, I will thank you for coming over. If you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. There's a lot of information that I want to bring on this channel. In November, we will be doing our grassroots program again in Jamaica. We are going to go to 5 schools this time around, and we are going to put structures in place that can help some of the young coaches to develop, the young athletes to develop. We're going to do a whole lot, and I can't do it by myself. So the more you share these videos and get the word out, then the more we can cover the grounds. Any final thought? I have 2 questions here. I am going to take one. I'm going to take so true. All right, Keron McLean. I have Jerome Thompson. I believe it's basically how they handle the situation. And you are indeed right. And this is why I say that honesty is important when you're dealing with athletes. Transparency is important when you're dealing with athletes. Consistency is important when you're dealing with athlete. And the athlete must be able to trust you. So these are some of the things that they need to work on. We'll be having meetings behind the scenes. We're going to be talking about these things, because if the athletes are to develop, they're going to need to trust the federation. They're going to need to have rules and things in place that can protect them. You know, I say that because a lot of times the older athletes are not protected, and a lot of time the younger athletes are not protected. Audrey Davis says that Elaine is no ordinary athlete. She is the fastest woman alive, and as long as she's showing form, she should be included over average runners. And that is somewhat true, Audrey, because if she did not perform individually to show her form, it is hard to take out someone who has proven themselves in their individual event to give somebody else a chance if that person is healthy. The American only replace athletes if the athlete has already ran and proved themselves in their individual event. If you look at all the athletes who were a part of the relay squad, you will see that they did run individually and they did prove themselves. Thank you very much for that question. Very much appreciate it. I also have another question by Ariel again. She says, how do people in the diaspora get the attention of the JHA to voice our concerns? One of the things they wanted, they have email information that you can send to them. People like me, you can voice your opinion. I can voice the opinion for you. And this is why this movement is important. Also, there are some requirements in terms of being a part of the fraternity. And I'll get more information on that to say how people from the diaspora can be more involved. As I said before, we need people from the diaspora, because when you look on even the marketing aspect of it, we need more people from the diaspora to come in and help. And that is one of the reasons why we are in this condition too, because we want the minds of the first world nations. So, Ariel, to answer your question, I would say this. From the diaspora too, I am going in and I'm doing grassroots programs, and I'm meeting with the J3 and the JOA and other individuals. I am sure that if you would like to have a meeting with them and you reached out to them, they're not going to shun you. They will listen to what you have to say, because they understand the importance. Now, how effective it will be based on your persuasive arguments, your connection, and so on. But what I'll do, Ariel, you have my contact information. Feel free to pass anything to me, and I will pass the information to the respective persons. Thank you very much. One final question, Caron McLean. If Elaine was running fast and she said she's not running the relay, you wouldn't hear the last of it. There are some truth to that. As I said, those things usually happen in the past, and as a result of that, they came up with some other ways to get some of the younger athletes to be ready. But when you have a Elaine at her best, you're indeed right that if she chooses not to compete on the relay, it will affect the outcome. And this is why I am here to say that the way how Elaine was treated, it could have been way better. Someone should have met with Elaine, sat with her, she and Briana, and explained clearly why she was not on the team. Now, keep in mind that Elaine has never made it an issue. She has not come out and say that she was disrespected because maybe she was not. One of the things she did, she put congratulations to the other members of the team, which I thought was a very good behavior. But she never ever said that she was upset because she did not get the opportunity to run. I want to make that clear. So some people may make it seem as if Elaine is angry. At no point did she make any statement about being angry because she wasn't able to run. In fact, she was happy that the team ran and finished second. And again, the incentives which I spoke about earlier, the monetary gains, that will be split 6 ways. If there were only 4 people on the team, it would only be split between those 4 people. But because 6 people competed, the money will be split 6 ways. And I think that is a good thing, because everyone now knows that the money must share equally. And that is a good thing. And everyone will also receive a medal. The final question here, it says, I like what you're doing at this moment, but why are you not coaching in your specialized event in Jamaica? So let me break this down for you. I wanted to make a bigger impact in the future of track and field in Jamaica. And as a result of that, I have done a lot in terms of putting in place a grassroots program, because I want to educate the younger athletes to understand that it will take more than talent to get them to where they want to be. You must have a strong mind, and I'm here to put that grassroots program along with my team to help some of the younger athletes to be the best version of themselves. So what I do, I played a very important role also behind the scenes, because I do a lot of mentoring. I mentor a lot of athletes who have personal issues, family issues, career issues. I can tell you some of the people that I work with. I work with Megan Tapper. I worked with Kenya Sinclair. I work with Aileen Bailey. I work with Jason Morgan. I work with so many other athletes. I rather not call some of their names because I never really have the discussion with them. But I have been doing a lot in terms of passing on my knowledge. Because one of the things I say, that the worst thing we can do is to die and not pass on the knowledge to the younger generation, the younger coaches. And that is one of the reasons why the last meeting that we had, we were talking about how to include even female coaches, because we need more female coaches. You have female athletes. We want more female coaches. We want packages, incentives that can help the primary school coaches to do better at the secondary school level. And that is a mission, and we are putting everything together. So your support and your questions are important to me, because sometimes you can give me ideas, things that I may not even think about, things that my team may not even think about. It is helpful. So when we take on the task, we know some of the things that you want. So if you guys want to be a part of the tour, it's going to be the second week in November. We'll be going to 5 schools, and we will be making sure that we tap into some of the minds. Any final question before I go? Any final question before I go? If not, if you have not subscribed to the channel yet, please go ahead and do so. If you think the content is worthy to be shared, please be generous and share. I have another question from Jerome. Jerome says, why the top clubs don't just take in just about any athletes you have to be already doing specific times? Why the top clubs don't just take in just about? Okay, so let me say this to you. And that is a very good question, because we have been fighting with issues like that. One of my philosophy is that some athletes need to stay in Jamaica and some athletes need to come to the States to mature. The reason for that is that in Jamaica, many of these clubs don't have the financial resources to help some of these developing athletes get to where they need to be. And as a result of that, they need to take off the burden of the club, because what has been happening in the past is that the club take on all of the burden because they want to help everyone. But along the way, they are losing a lot, and they don't have enough time to help the athlete to mature. And as a result, the athlete may lose motivation and they may go about their business. You don't see them after 2 years. So it is important that the clubs use the resources that they have wisely. And if they're able to send some of the athletes overseas, then the athlete will get the education and some of the burden will fall on the US of A, the college institutions. But as it stands, because we were retaining so many of the young athletes and we don't have the money and we don't have the manpower, that is also important. We don't have the coaches who can take all of them when they come out of high school straight into the league. And as a result of that, they are not able to develop the athletes the way they want to. So the goal now is to make sure that some athletes stay and some athletes go. And if after college they want to come back to Jamaica to train, then they have their degree and they know more mature. Their body now can take on the work. So that is something too that we are trying to get the system to understand, that it is important to get some athletes away because they don't have the money. You know, a lot of these athletes too are from the country and it's hard to house them in Kingston. You know, so there's a lot of little issues that we see that usually affect the athletes. And as I said before, without the athletes, there is no need for coaches. There's no need for administrators. So we have to take better care of our athletes. Any final question? Well, I thank you all for coming. I appreciate the support that you all give. Another question from Jerome. He said, I really would love to have some facility specifically for injuries because we don't have that in Jamaica. And that is one of the other truths, Jerome, because sometimes when the athletes are injured, they don't have the money to fly to Miami, which is the closest point of contact. You know, one of the things I would love to see, Jerome, is that we had people at the highest level in terms of NACAC. And there's a lot of monies that are being given to those islands. And we hope that some of those monies can be used to invest in the facilities and also invest in the people. And I'll say this, just like, say, for example, my good friend Neil Gardner. He is now a chiropractor. He's a doctor, and he's one of the best chiropractor in Jamaica. And he was able to get that because the IOC gave a scholarship and he was a recipient of the scholarship. And as a result, it helped him to come to the States, and it paid all his expenses. We need to have some of that for our physiotherapists. You know, you have a lot of athletes who came to the US to practice physiotherapy. We can use some of those monies to invest in them so they can give back to Jamaica and our athletes. Jerome, we have another question. You said, all right, you said, so true. I enjoy the conversation too. I really appreciate you all, because at the end of the day, I can say this: it doesn't matter how knowledgeable you are, if you don't get the support from the right individuals, it is going to be hard for us to continue what we want. Now, as I said it before, that when I was a rookie, the Honorable Herb McKinley took me under his wings, and he helped me to see a brighter future. And as a result of that, I want to help others to see a brighter future. So thank you all for coming out. If you have any question, please feel free to share. Caron said, the problem I'm having with Jamaican sports, there are too many politics, and this has to stop now. And you are indeed right, Caron. There are a lot of politics, but at the end of the day, you want people with the right heart. You want people with the right knowledge. You want people who care. And that is why, even though there's a lot of politics, it is in our best interest to put individuals in positions that can help to influence the outcome that you would want to see. Again, I want all athletes to become the best version of themselves, whether you're young or you're old. I want all athletes to be self-sufficient. I want them to be able to live a life based on the hard work that they have put in. And we together, we can make that happen. So thank you all for coming out. If appreciate the support, you know. Again, if you have not subscribed, please go ahead and do so. I am, again, Dr. Gregory Horton. I appreciate your support, and I hope to see you again. May God continue to bless and keep you all safe. Good night, everybody.